I mean, I understand it. I'm a little surprised by it because I thought management was really committed to going wire to wire with Jordan Walker. So to fill us in on this, our good friend and a great baseball writer, John Denton of MLB.com, was covering the Cardinals in San Francisco, and we join him there now. John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Bernie. A little surprised by the move, definitely, but hey, it's a sunny day in San Francisco, so not all bad.
That's right. Hey, John, I'm surprised too. I didn't rule out that maybe they'd send him down at some point, but the fact that it's before the first month is over, that's really a surprise. And so why do they think that to do it earlier is probably the best way to go about it?
Well, they want him to make some changes in his swing, definitely, and that was the conversation yesterday. They want him to get the ball off the ground. They want him to hit more line drives, hit more fly balls. He has the exit velocity. He has 25 hard-hit balls this season. He's going to be a guy who's going to hit the ball hard throughout his career. They want him to make these changes and get where he's hitting more line drives. I thought this would happen at the major league level. I'm kind of surprised that they sent him down. Obviously, they want him working on this. They want him playing every day. But I thought that would be at the major league level. Ali Marmol said yesterday they liked having him here so he can work with Turner Ward. He can work with Brandon Allen. He can work with the major league hitting staff. So, I'm sure they're going to couch this as more playing time for him. But, I'm a little surprised. You made the decision to start the season with him. He totally deserved it. To change course now, maybe, it says a lot about the state of the Cardinals right now.
What do you think this means for and I know, John, it's a question you can't answer at this point, how soon he could return, but we can table that one. What does this mean for the rest of the outfielders? Like, who, in your view, who would benefit from this the most? The playing time that's now there that wasn't there as of last night.
Well, I think their best outfield alignment is with Dylan Carlson in center field and Lars Nootbaar in right field. There's no doubt about Dylan Carlson is their best defensive outfielder. It's just whether he's going to hit enough. And he hadn't hit the ball this season. He had 2 hits last night. That was a good look. He hit the ball right-handed instead of left-handed. But, that's their best defensive alignment. They want to keep getting Alec Burleson in the lineup. Ali talked last night about that it's difficult. You're wondering, is too much a good thing? Are they really, getting these guys in? Are they playing enough to not mess them up? Are these guys struggling or not reaching their potential because they're having to rotate them so much? So maybe this is a shot to try to give 4 guys a chance to show what they can do, with more consistent playing time.
Yeah, and I would think, you could, not to be a manager on live radio, because I'm not a manager, that's for sure, but you can play Carlson in center against left-handed pitchers. You can play Burleson against right-handed pitchers, and then just kind of go with that premise and, decide whether you want O'Neill in left or right. And I think Newt would be the center fielder, certainly against even against left-handed pitchers, because he hits them really well. So they can work it out. Marmol won't have as many tough decisions to make, putting that lineup together in terms of how it pertains to the outfield.
Yeah. Ali said yesterday, look, it's a mathematical conundrum, trying to get enough at bats, trying to get enough reps for all these guys. And, he said a couple weeks ago, and it was so true. It was good to hear him say, he said, look, I'm not going to sit here and say it's fair that Dylan Carlson gets to play 3 days a week. I'm not going to say it's fair that Tyler O'Neill should be okay with, sitting down after he plays well in the game. It's not fair. They're trying to get the best guys out there every day, but if you're only playing 4 days a week, can you be the best version of yourself? And, I think they're just trying to create more steadiness in the outfield, more at-bats, and hopefully these guys find a rhythm and reach their full potential.
Yeah, it's really interesting. John, I think it raises a question. I just want to get your opinion on this. And Jim Hewer and I, ironically enough, we're talking about this before we knew the news, became aware of the news. It's like, I think the Cardinals can be second-guessed a little bit, and I think it's fair because Jordan Walker, for all his gifts and for as great as he's going to be, he's had this chronic ground ball issue. And I just wonder why they didn't fix it in advance. Like, make sure that was on the right track. And, if it meant starting a season in Memphis, I think that would have been a really smart thing to do. I mean, to try to fix this like right in the middle of a season where the team's struggling early, I think that's tough. And I know hindsight's 20/20, but in fairness to myself, I wondered about that stuff when they decided to put him on the major league roster. Although I was excited that they did, but there were some questions there too. What do you think? You can tell me I'm full of it if you want.
No, Bertie. I think they're right for second guessing here. Like, you either start him in Memphis or you start him here and you leave him here. I think this is a weird timing for this. Weird reasoning. I'm curious to hear the reasons why they thought this was possible. This kid's going to be a star. Is he going to be a guy who hits 40 home runs? I don't think so. He's more of a line drive hitter than he is a home run hitter. He is on the ground a little too much, but give the kid a chance to make some changes. He just kind of started working with Taylor, with Turner Ward about this. He's hit the ball hard. Even though he's played sporadically, he's 81st in the league at hard hit balls. He has 25 hard hit balls already. Just imagine what he would be with more consistency. And I'm just, I really think this is about getting the other guys more at bats, making it a little easier in the outfield. But I just wonder, doing this with this kid's going to be your right fielder for the next decade if things go well. And I'm really skeptical of the timing of this. I think he either starts the season in Memphis or he starts the season in St. Louis. It's odd timing to me.
John, I couldn't agree with you more. And I know they just wanted him to be their guy. They want to build the team around him and all that stuff. But I think they got caught up in the excitement. I can't blame them for that. But they're the people in charge. I think they got to be a little more level-headed. And as we know, John, because I talked to you about it late in spring training. He was scuffling then, and that could be easily dismissed. And I got that, but. Maybe it was just a little warning sign now that we look back on it. But look, he's going to be back up here soon enough, and hopefully there will be a better swing path or whatever you want to call it, and then he can start to maximize his potential. John Denton with us from San Francisco, MLB.com. Well, John, I don't know why I'm surprised, and it really, I guess it's not all that important, but they chose to bring up Taylor Matter, and what's the thinking there?
Well, they like that Taylor Matter can play a bunch of different positions. He's a guy who ran into some pitches in the spring and hit for power, and Ollie turned to him one time, pinch hit Brendan Donovan with Matter because they think he can go deep and he can hit a ball hard. He hasn't done that in his career, and I know fans were really upset about that. Opting for a guy who hasn't done much in his career. He was good. He was really good with the Cardinals in spring training. But he's not the outfielder. He's not the power hitter who sends fear into a pitcher. It's a little bit of an odd move. I think he's a veteran. He's going to sit on the bench and be just fine. He's happy to be on the major league roster. At the end of the day, this is all about, hey, they're going to free up at bats for Tyler O'Neill. They're going to free up at bats for Dylan Carlson. They're going to free up at bats for Alec Burleson. And this is, I'm guessing it's probably a 6-week make or break with those guys. And, if one of them doesn't stick, I think that's where you first look to start trading guys, is the outfield. Taylor Matter's a guy who's going to be a 8th inning, 9th inning pitch hitter. This is about freeing up at bats for those other guys, and if they don't hit, they could be out of here in the trade.
And, John, we've talked about that with Taylor O'Neill, and I'm not an apologist, but there's something I learned about him through the years, but also doing research on it to back up what I thought, and it happened to be true. Tyler O'Neill has to play to be as effective as he can be. Part of it is the injuries that have interrupted him, but also I've looked at every month of his career, and the months where he's played the most happen to be, with maybe one or two exceptions, the best months he's had offensively. He's got to play. He just has to. And I think this will get them to that point. And like you said, I agree with you. Then it's make or break. But maybe he'll do enough to where the Cardinals can flip him for a good return. That's a chance to increase his trade value too.
Yeah, I think more than anything, this Jordan Walker demotion is about sending a message to those outfielders. Okay, you want to play every day. Now's your shot. You've got a month to show what you can do, and that if they make a deal, if they try to go get pitching or try to get bullpen help, it's going to be by trading an outfielder, and they're going to give those guys some time now. They're going to let them play every day, and with 4 outfielders, it's a lot easier than 5 outfielders, and those guys are going to get at bats. If they hit, they'll probably stay here. If they don't, they'll look to move them. I think that's the overriding message from this Jordan Walker being sent to AAA today, that Tyler O'Neill, okay, you're going to play every day. Now prove that you deserve it.
Right on. John, real quick, I know you got work to do. You've been around the team in Seattle, and you've been around the team all the time. I know you take the occasional break because you have to and you should. But what is your read on the team? And I know what Marmol says, but I'm talking about your read on the team just in terms of the mental frame of mind in what has been a shocking start. I know it's early, but to see 9-15, that is a stunner. It really is. What's the mindset?
Yeah, there's a lot of shock around there. It doesn't add up. All the players will point out, like, look around the room. There's an all-star in every corner. There's a guy who's done it at a high level in every corner. And, I said this earlier, like, people want to know what the locker room's like. After games, players are pretty hungry. They eat at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They don't eat again. So after the games, they're hungry. There were 15 people in the lunchroom last night, and not a sound was being made. They were quiet. There was no laughing. There was no smiling. It was a stunned bunch. That was the first walk-off home run that Ryan Helsley's ever given up. He was a little rattled by it. That was a jarring loss last night. Like they've had bad losses, but last night really kind of shook them to the core. And these next few days are really going to be important for them to try to get out of this, because this could turn into a horrendous road trip if they don't get out of this soon.
If you would have told me before the start of the season, Mr. John Denton, that Tommy Edman would have as many homers as Arenado and Goldschmidt combined, but he would also make a couple of really bad, uncharacteristically bad errors that played a role in them losing some games, I would have said, I don't know if you're taking strong cough syrup or something, but just stop sipping the cough syrup or whatever. I mean, that's how crazy this season is, something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense, Bernie. A lot of times we romanticize the fact that the guy can play multiple positions, but hey, maybe it's not a good idea to bounce Tommy Edman back and forth between shortstop and second base. He's been flawless at the shortstop. I know he's a Gold Glove winner in the past at second base, but he's bounced back to second the last couple of nights, and he's made 2 very uncharacteristic errors. Maybe put him at shortstop and leave him there.
Yeah, and I think he's earned that. And I also think with DeYoung coming up and looking pretty good, I know it's early. Don't hate me, listeners, because you mentioned his name, and it's like the running of the bulls, that people just lose their minds. But he looks pretty good. He certainly looks good enough to keep around, and, because the way he's in the batter's box, it just looks better. So, and with Taylor Motter coming up, they can plug whatever they need to plug, especially on the infield. So I think Tommy Edman deserved that. I agree with you. Keep him in one spot. John, listen, thanks for everything. I'm glad we were able to get you on it, because I said even on the air, I said, well, some big news. He's probably going to have to work on it, maybe join us later. But so thanks for being with us right after that news was announced. You're the best.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Bernie. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Take care.
You got it. That's John Denton, MLB.com. I'm not trying to oversimplify this, but really, all right, again, keep in mind, 80% of the team's plate appearances this season, 80% are against right-handed pitching. So you got to keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. That means you don't play Dylan Carlson all the time. You just don't. So when you're going up against a right-handed starter, it's O'Neill, it's Nootbaar, and it's Burleson. When you're going against a left-handed pitcher, even though, Newt's in there. You're going against a left-handed pitcher, it's O'Neill, Carlson, and Nootbaar. So to me, I am oversimplifying it. And first of all, Alec Burleson's got to start reheating.
He's got to, come back, yep.
Because he's going to get his chance, because he's going to be facing, as he has most of the part anyway, he's going to be facing a lot of right-handed pitching. And it's like, okay, big boy, we had to send Jordan Walker down because we really believe it would do him good, and I think it will too. But they also are admitting they made a mistake by rushing him to the big leagues. Before, when he still had this huge flaw in his swing that led to like an extremely high ground ball rate. That should have been taken care of last year, but more than they did, and that should have been taken care of in Memphis at the start of the season. If they were that concerned about it, and obviously they are, because they sent him down. So he's like, well, no, you're second. I'm not second guessing. I talked about this a lot. And so they've admitted their mistake, which is fine. I appreciate that. If that's better for Jordan Walker, then it's good that they do that. But anyway, this isn't that complicated. I mean, you really do have an outfield set up to where, depending on it's a lefty starting or a right-hander starting. You really do. So, and by the way, Donovan can play some corner outfielder,
Yes, he can.
Outfield. I would prefer not to see Taylor Motter out there. I would prefer, in line with what we just said with John Denton, I would prefer that they don't run Tommy Edman out there,
No.
every now and then maybe. So this actually, John Denton, this really sets up in so many ways. Like you can easily align this outfield, starting outfield, based on who's pitching. But the other thing, you got to play Tyler O'Neill, and now they can. I mean, I'm just about every day. Nootbaar is their all-in guy who can hit righties, lefties, whatever. So he's set. Burleson will have a place in this lineup against right-handed pitching, but Burleson has also got to show that this is just a slump and it does not represent a larger problem. And Carlson, listen, man, I don't want to be cold, but if this guy is basically an automatic out against right-handed pitching, and I think he's hitting like 180 against it, it's managerial malfeasance to start him a bunch of games against right-handed pitching.
He can't play him at all.
I'm going to see, because I don't trust that. I don't trust him.
I'm there with you, but realistically, you should never start him at that.
Maybe every now and then. And that's why I would have thought at this early date, if you asked me, like, okay, who's the most likely guy to go down, because he's got to really work on a serious problem, I would have had Carlson at the top of the list. I probably would have had Burleson next, but I'm reacting to recent events because he hasn't been hitting for a while. And then it would be Walker. But maybe, if Walker had kept up here, stayed up here, and he was getting worse instead of getting better, I very easily would have moved him up on the, all right, who's most likely to be sent down list. The thing I was wrong about, I thought Cardinals management was absolutely determined to keep him here all season.
I'm there with you,
Yeah.
and that's why there's a couple things with this news just popping out. I've been thinking this through because we started talking about Walker and why they're working on this now. Two things. We know he's been working on this for the last 2 days. He hasn't been in the starting lineup. Why didn't you do this 2 days ago before you left Seattle? Again, I know maybe.
No, you're right.
But it's
you're right.
What were we waiting for? Now.
It's why, again, I don't understand their lapses of judgment.
Yes, because if you really felt this was needed, it should have been done after the Seattle series. The other thing is, I wonder, and again, I don't know, is this because of what you've seen in the last 2 days from him working on it, where you go,
maybe
he definitely needs to go down because he is not getting this part of what we're trying to get him to do. I don't know that.
I think Turner Ward. I said Warner. I think he's a realistic guy, honest guy. So I think this is for Walker's own good. In a way, it's for the club's own good too, because you want him at his best. You got to give him a fair chance. If he's got a flaw that's really impacting the way he hits, And obviously, anyone who says it wasn't impacting the way he hits is just being delusional. But also just because they love Jordan Walker, and I get that too. Who doesn't really love the guy? But I think this was a smart move, and
it's
I wish they would have thought about this in advance.
It's put up or shut up for Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah,
this is your chance, kid.
Yeah.
There are no more platoon this. You're not swinging well tonight. We're going to sit you down.
He's got to play.
You're going to play every night. Go get it done.
Got to play. Period.
Yep.
His history tells us that. I'm talking about the history when he's healthy to play.
And when we've discussed him, when he's come back from injuries, at least when we talked about it, I remember specifically 10 to 14 days. You just play him, and usually within 10 to 14 days of him coming back, you go, okay, he's locked in, here he goes. The problem is it seems like every 14 to 20 days he finds another injury and he's back down where he was. But now you're going to just sit there and ride him in there every day and just let him go at it and see where he takes him.
Maybe he and maybe him and the skipper can have a reset.
You would hope so,
right?
We came through with a nice hit last night.
He did.
He got a big high five for the manager when he went through the dugout. I saw that. So
that's because the manager knows he really needs him now.
He does. Yeah.
Strange season by the Cardinals, and I think the strangeness actually happened during that Atlanta series with Maul just going nuts over the O'Neill base running thing. I mean, look, we talked about it at the time, and just a reminder, I don't have a problem with Ali Marmol if he perceives O'Neill's holding back on the base. I don't have a problem with him chewing him out privately. You don't take it public. Certainly not 2 days in a row. You need to talk to your damn third base coach, who has sent many runners to their demise at home plate. Why don't we talk about him a little bit? But no, can't do that. But anyway, that's when the weirdness started. It really is, and it's been weird ever since then.